It was a chilling moment for the world of cryptocurrency, a breach so massive that it sent shockwaves through the entire financial community. In early 2024, hackers managed to steal an astonishing $1.5 billion worth of crypto assets from ByBit, one of the most prominent crypto exchanges globally. Almost immediately, whispers started circulating among cybersecurity experts. This was no ordinary heist. It wasn't the work of a few opportunistic hackers. This was something bigger, something carefully orchestrated. ByBit, known for its strict security protocols and solid reputation, became the scene of what many now call the largest crypto exchange hack in history. I'm Carl Stamm, former director at the FBI's Cybercrime Division in New York, and this case quickly landed on our radar. From the very start, it was clear the sophistication of the breach pointed to a state-sponsored attack. Early investigations suggested that the perpetrators had bypassed multiple layers of ByBit's defenses, firewalls, encryption, two-factor authentication, almost as if they had insider knowledge or had been planning this for months, if not years. FBI analysts, alongside experts from cybersecurity firms and financial crime units, began piecing together the sequence of events. It wasn't just about stolen coins. The hackers had infiltrated back-end systems, accessed confidential user data, and wiped traces of their activities with chilling precision. At first, ByBit tried to contain the situation, issuing carefully worded statements to reassure users and investors. But internally, panic was brewing. The company's executives knew that if they didn't act swiftly and transparently, trust in their platform, and perhaps the entire crypto ecosystem, could collapse overnight. Meanwhile, the FBI's Cyber Division had already activated protocols for major breaches. Working hand in hand with international agencies, they launched an urgent investigation. The mission: to find out who was behind the attack before the stolen funds disappeared into the complex web of crypto laundering operations across the dark web. One thing quickly became obvious. Whoever orchestrated this knew exactly what they were doing. It was clear this wasn't just about money. It was a demonstration of power and a chilling warning to the world. The scale of the breach was breathtaking. Yet the hackers didn't just smash and grab. They moved methodically, siphoning off assets in small, carefully timed transactions. Each transfer was routed through layers of obfuscation, mixers, privacy coins, and hundreds of intermediary wallets. The FBI quickly realized that conventional tracking methods wouldn't be enough. They brought in blockchain analysts, cyber forensics teams, and even AI-based tracking algorithms to follow the money. It was like chasing shadows through a maze. Every time they thought they had a lead, it slipped through their fingers. At ByBit headquarters, tension was at a breaking point. Internal investigations uncovered that the hackers had exploited a zero-day vulnerability, a flaw so new that even top security researchers hadn't discovered it yet. The revelation stunned everyone. How could an unknown vulnerability have been weaponized with such devastating effect? Senior Special Agent Jennifer Aiken from the FBI's Cyber Unit, a veteran of major financial crime cases, led the task force. This was not an amateur job, she later said. This had the fingerprints of a state-backed operation all over it. As more evidence came to light, suspicions narrowed to a familiar adversary, North Korea. Over the past decade, groups tied to North Korean intelligence, like the infamous Lazarus Group, had been implicated in some of the largest cyber heists in history. The similarities were striking. The attack's structure, its precision, even the tools used, all pointed to the same origin. But proving it would require hard evidence, something admissible in court and undeniable on the international stage. Meanwhile, the stolen crypto started moving across decentralized exchanges, converted into stable coins, and then transferred into hard-to-trace assets. It was a digital shell game on a global scale. The FBI worked closely with partners from Interpol, Europol, and financial intelligence units around the world. Despite their combined efforts, it was clear whoever was behind the ByBit hack had planned for every contingency. An emergency meeting at FBI headquarters was called. Agents, forensic analysts, financial crime specialists, they all sat around the table, reviewing every shred of evidence. The verdict was unanimous. This wasn't just a robbery. It was an act of cyber warfare. The deeper the investigators dug, the clearer the picture became. Hidden within the layers of obfuscation, they uncovered fragments, overlooked traces that only skilled operatives could piece together. A misconfigured wallet here, a reused server there. Tiny mistakes that spoke volumes to those trained to listen. The FBI's cyber forensics unit managed to isolate several IP addresses that had been used during the early phases of the attack. These addresses, masked through VPNs and proxies, eventually led them back to servers operated out of China, a classic North Korean tactic, using Chinese infrastructure as a smokescreen. It was enough for the FBI to quietly contact their counterparts in South Korea. In recent years, South Korean intelligence had amassed a treasure trove of information on North Korean cyber units, particularly Bureau 121 and the Lazarus Group. Collaborating across agencies, they pieced together a grim timeline. Over the past 2 years, North Korean hackers had shifted their focus. No longer content with espionage, they aggressively targeted financial institutions, crypto exchanges, and DeFi projects, wherever they could siphon off funds to fuel their sanctioned regime. Agent Aiken pushed for confirmation. They needed something irrefutable, something that would survive international scrutiny. The breakthrough came when analysts discovered snippets of malware code embedded deep within ByBit servers, code that matched signatures from previous North Korean operations almost byte for byte. At the same time, financial investigators noticed a familiar laundering pattern, a peculiar sequence of small, coordinated transactions bouncing between obscure exchanges, a signature maneuver previously attributed to Lazarus Group operations. At FBI headquarters, Special Agent in Charge Carl Stamm didn't mince words. This is state-sponsored theft. Make no mistake, it's an act of economic aggression. ByBit CEO, under intense pressure from investors and regulators, agreed to fully cooperate with U.S. authorities. Behind the scenes, FBI cyber teams began working 24/7 to track the remaining stolen assets before they vanished completely into the darknet's endless shadows. The public had no idea just how close the operation was to collapsing under its own complexity. Every minute counted. Every wrong move could mean the difference between recovering billions or losing them forever. And all the while, the hackers stayed eerily silent, their movements deliberate, almost taunting. They knew the game they were playing, and they knew they were good at it. As the investigation advanced, the FBI's cyber division knew that tracking the stolen funds was only part of the battle. They needed to construct a bulletproof case, one strong enough to withstand political backlash and legal challenges in international courts. Special Agent Jennifer Aiken coordinated closely with federal prosecutors, preparing detailed timelines, evidence logs, and technical analyses. Every digital breadcrumb had to be cataloged. Every connection to North Korea had to be unmistakable. Meanwhile, cybersecurity firms working with ByBit discovered something chilling. The hackers had been lurking inside the exchange's network for almost 6 months before executing the heist. They had mapped out internal systems, studied employee routines, and waited for the perfect moment to strike. This wasn't just theft. It was patience, discipline, and chilling professionalism. The FBI also pulled in experts from the Treasury Department's Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, FinCEN, to track where the laundered assets were ending up. Some of the stolen crypto had already been funneled into darknet marketplaces, but a significant portion was still moving, bit by bit, through decentralized finance protocols, making recovery possible, if they moved fast enough. Back in Washington, senior officials from the State Department were briefed. If it was confirmed that North Korea was behind the attack, it wouldn't just be a law enforcement matter. It would escalate into a major diplomatic incident. Within days, the National Security Council became involved. Discussions began about potential sanctions, public exposure, and the possibility of labeling the hack as an act of cyber terrorism. Despite the growing urgency, FBI Director Christopher Wray emphasized the importance of proceeding carefully. This case isn't just about getting the bad guys, he warned in a closed-door meeting. It's about preserving the integrity of our financial systems and sending a clear message to any nation thinking about crossing the line. Meanwhile, the crypto world was buzzing. News of the breach had leaked to the media, sparking panic among traders and investors. Cryptocurrency prices dipped, and competing exchanges rushed to assure customers that their platforms were secure. Inside ByBit, executives faced harsh questions from regulators about their security practices. How had such a massive vulnerability gone unnoticed for so long? Why weren't stronger protections in place? The fallout was just beginning, and for ByBit and the crypto industry as a whole, the real cost of the hack was only starting to reveal itself. With the evidence piling up, the FBI launched a global manhunt for the individuals directly involved in the ByBit attack. Arrest warrants were quietly issued through Interpol, targeting key operatives linked to known North Korean cyber units. But arresting the perpetrators was easier said than done. Most of the hackers operated out of Pyongyang or from closely guarded safe houses in countries like China and Russia, places where American law enforcement had little to no reach. Still, the FBI wasn't willing to give up. They coordinated with South Korean intelligence and cyber units across Europe and Southeast Asia, trying to disrupt North Korea's illicit networks wherever possible. Banks flagged suspicious transactions. Crypto exchanges blacklisted known hacker wallets. Pressure was applied at every possible choke point. Meanwhile, internal FBI teams focused on mapping the laundering pathways. They traced stolen funds as they were split, merged, and shifted through hundreds of transactions. One breakthrough came when agents discovered that a portion of the stolen Bitcoin had been cashed out into real estate purchases in Southeast Asia, a move that gave them a tangible target for asset seizure. It wasn't just the FBI involved anymore. Homeland Security, the CIA, and even the Department of Defense had vested interests. Quietly, cyber defense teams launched counter-operations to intercept North Korean communication channels and monitor movements of their cyber operatives. Special Agent Jennifer Aiken knew the stakes. A second major breach could destroy trust in the entire crypto ecosystem, and if North Korea got away with this, it would embolden others. In a confidential briefing, a high-ranking official from the Department of Homeland Security warned, "This isn't just about stolen coins. It's about undermining financial sovereignty, about weaponizing the digital economy against the West." Meanwhile, ByBit struggled to stay afloat. Investor confidence plummeted. Several class action lawsuits were filed, accusing the platform of negligence. Some regulators even began discussing whether the exchange should be temporarily shut down. As the manhunt continued, the FBI and its partners knew they needed a win fast. They didn't just want to catch the thieves. They wanted to make an example out of them. Time was running out, and somewhere deep in a bunker across the world, the hackers were already preparing for their next move. Despite all efforts, recovering the full $1.5 billion proved impossible. A significant portion of the stolen assets had already vanished into a complex web of digital laundering, leaving investigators with little more than fragmented trails. However, the relentless push by U.S. and allied cyber units did lead to several victories. Authorities managed to freeze around $380 million in crypto assets before they were fully laundered. Multiple shell companies involved in the laundering process were exposed and shut down. Some mid-level operatives tied to the scheme were arrested abroad, though none of the primary architects were captured. For the FBI, it was a bittersweet success. They had dealt a blow to North Korea's financial operations, but they knew the core threat still remained, lurking, adapting, and preparing for the next strike. ByBit, under enormous pressure, launched an overhaul of its security infrastructure, introducing advanced blockchain monitoring, biometric authentication, and real-time threat analysis systems. They pledged full compensation to affected users, an effort that cost the company hundreds of millions. Meanwhile, the attack became a catalyst for change across the cryptocurrency world. Regulators across the U.S., Europe, and Asia pushed for tighter controls on crypto exchanges, stricter KYC, know your customer requirements, and new frameworks for incident response. The story also forced uncomfortable conversations at the highest levels of government. How should a nation respond when another state uses cyber tools to loot billions from its financial institutions? Was it cybercrime or was it an act of war? Officially, the U.S. government stopped short of labeling it cyber terrorism, but internally, agencies treated it with the gravity of a national security breach. Sanctions were tightened against North Korea. Diplomatic pressure was ramped up. Quietly, cyber retaliation measures were considered and possibly enacted. Special Agent Jennifer Aiken, reflecting on the case months later, summed it up simply. This wasn't just about money. It was a message. and we heard it loud and clear. Today, the ByBit hack stands as a stark reminder. The digital frontier is a battlefield, and in this new era of cyber warfare, the enemy often moves faster than the law can catch them. The war for the digital economy has only just begun.